Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, everyone, uh, for being here. It's I just love being in this Sangha. I've had the opportunity to be to share this with NDF quite a few times now. And it's always at a light because I feel like I'm the one that learns the most. So it's just, I just feel so grateful. So, so thank you for being here. I see familiar faces. I see new faces. Um, Maybe I can speak a little bit about myself for those that I'm meeting for the first time. I had the honor of meeting Lama Liz at the we have a little sangha called the Gen X Buddhist Teacher Sangha. So it's kind of a little fun place for different teachers of these generations to come together. And I met her, and then these are teachers from different lineages. So there's Vajrayana teachers, there's Zen teachers, there's Theravada teachings. I come from a Zen lineage, and I've recently had the fortune of learning a little bit about the Mahamudra path, and and it's just wonderful to see all these different upayas, these different skillful means, these different ways for us sentient beings to realize our deepest Buddha nature. So, so what I'm gonna do here today, it's gonna be very influenced by my Zen training, which is actually very special because my teacher, um, he started with that first wave of Zen teachers that came from Asia, from Korea and Japan. His teacher was Japanese, very traditional Zen teaching, but he's American. So so he rides a Harley and drinks beer once in a while. So I felt very connected to that. And he also had or has a Western mindset, Western modern mindset, which is different. It's different from the super traditional Japanese, Asian, Eastern mindset. And I know that it was not easy either for him or the teachers to communicate. It was really, difficult cultural clash in a way. But what came out of that, or what's coming out of that, I think it's beautiful because it's the union of this deep, ancient, beautiful teachings with also some wisdom that's been developed here in the modern West about the understanding of the mind. So I think this is similar to what happened when Indian Buddhism came to Tibet, and then there was this beautiful shamanic bone tradition, and that gave rise to this new expression of the Dharma. And it was similar to what happened in China because they had the Taoist, the deep Taoist tradition, and then when that met the Indian Buddhism, then that gave rise to Chan, and that became Zen, which is the Zen that we know now. So this is all beautiful. And here in the West, well, there's a maybe less ancient, but still very powerful lineage about the understanding of our minds, which is psychotherapeutic work. There's also developmental understanding of how we grow up and how our minds develop. So So what's coming out of those types of wisdom, it's what I see as new upayas, new skillful means for the teachings to be transmitted and shared. So I learned that from my teacher. He learned about psychotherapy, especially voice dialogue, and then he used that as a tool to bring about the deep insights of the Buddhist tradition. So I had the fortune of study and keep studying with him, and I also had the wonderful privilege of learning from people that are on the cutting edge of adult development, learning how we how our minds developed. So this is more like developmental psychology, and that field is beautiful because it at some point they kind of like start to merge. At some point they kind of like begin to merge. So when we follow the developmental path, that path of development starts at some point starts to meet the the insights of Buddhism. So this is very new, this is very new, and it's it's really exciting. It's really exciting for me to be doing this. And the best part of it is that there's also this emphasis on community and collective understanding and impulse that's also arising here. So in the more traditional way of transmitting the teachings, there's usually a very clear hierarchy, right? So usually the teacher is kind of like a little bit high up there, right? And we're kind of like all down here, and we're kind of like getting the teachings, from that kind of like higher place, and that's beautiful. But there's also here, especially here in the West, there's this kind of desire to move to a more horizontal kind of place, horizontal kind of sharing, right? So I see teachers now more like facilitators. And it's not so much like there's this top-down delivery of the teachings, but it's more like this reaching into and drawing out the wisdom that's already in all of us. It's already in all of us. That the seed of awakening is already in all of us. So this process is more that kind of not so much top down, but kind of like growing out that wisdom that it's in all of us. We just need to be curious. We just need to be curious and look and see what we find. So in the I like to use this phrase. It's a famous phrase in Zen from one of the famous Zen teachers. So he was Dogen Zenji, and he would say, to study the Dharma is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be awakened by all things. To forget the self is to be awakened by all things. So that's kind of like what we're going to do here. Okay? We're going to just study the self, and we'll see what we discover. Okay? So, enough of me. I want us to share a little bit in a very popcorn style way. can just if you feel called to just share a little bit. And share maybe especially about this question that's the title of this Dharma Sunday, and it's the veils to awakening. Kind of, if you ask yourself, what are those veils to awakening? If the teaching tells us that we're already awakened, we're already Buddha, we're already the clear light, then what is that veil that doesn't let us see? So what comes up for you when you ask that question? What do you think that is? What do you think that is? So ask yourself that and see what arises, and you can just share. And I will say this: every time you share, you're practicing dana. You're giving. You're being generous, and that is beneficial to all of us. Anything you share is beneficial for the whole group. So there's no right or wrong ways to share. Everything you share is going to be beneficial. Okay. So yeah, what comes up when you ask yourself that question? What are those veils to awaken? Yes.
Possibly fear.
Fear. Okay. Definitely fear. Now, fear of what?
The unknown.
The unknown. Beautiful. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Beautiful. Fear of the unknown. Yeah. In Zen, we have this, we're all about not knowing. It's all about not knowing, We call it don't know mind. We say that the highest attainment in Zen is called Mahavaroshana Buddha. And that means something like the great stupid ass Buddha. So we're like, my Dharma grandfather, my teacher used to tell this story, and he was once giving a talk, and then someone, this lady was asking him, so what is Zen about? And then he said, Zen is about being stupid. And then she said, no, seriously, like what is Zen about? Said, Zen is about being stupid. And he said, no, please don't make fun of me. I really want to know. Say, Zen is about being stupid. So, I think when we look at that fear, part of that fear is like we don't want to look stupid. We want to know, and then we think that not knowing means we're stupid. But maybe it's the other way around. Maybe when we think we know, we're being very stupid. So
can I pop in? Because
yes.
it really is. That sense of inner authority, it's really a lot, I see as one of the big veils. I think back to when I was around 7, and the reality of beingness was extremely clear. The emptiness and the awareness and the integration with the 10,000 things. I mean, I experienced it so clearly. And then throughout my life, as I've been practicing for a long time, I found that sense of knowing, that deep sense of knowing, really got confused with outer authority of the paths, because they are very hierarchical, from the top down. So then there's that sense of inner authority versus outer authority. That's been a struggle for me all through my practice. Yeah. That's
Beautiful.
all.
Thank you. And I want to say something about that. And I think this has become clear for me by studying the developmental path, developmental psychology, you would say, because it's beautiful. If we put these these two things together, they make a lot of sense. So when we're born, when we're coming to the world, we're already in a place of non-separation, right? So a baby doesn't know that he's a baby. A baby doesn't know that it's separate from everything else. A baby doesn't know that the mom is not him, that the toys are not him, that everything that he sees, there's no sense of separation. So the baby, it has the seed of awakening, but it's not, we don't say that it's fully awakened yet. Why? Because it hasn't really incarnated. It hasn't really create a sense of self. It doesn't have an identity. That just starts to, and then that starts to form. That's why babies or even little kids are not really self-conscious. They can just run around naked, right? They're just naked and they don't, they don't care, right? They don't really have a strong identity to protect. You see, they haven't developed that identity yet. However, if we're born in a human form, we can't stay in that place. We have to grow into, you might say, samsara. We have to start creating an identity because we need it to enter into the world. Otherwise, we cannot play the human game. For us to become human, we have to individuate. We have to start separating. We have to start creating an identity. And how do we do it? Well, first, we don't even know how to do it. So other people tell us who we are. They give us an identity. They give us a name, right? I didn't choose my name. I was born, and my mom, one of the apostles in Spanish was called Santiago, and then she liked that, and then that's why I was named Santiago. I had no saying in the matter at all. I just, I didn't choose it. I was just like, okay, this is who you are. And then they start Santiago, 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 Santiago. And I'm like, oh, okay. So when I hear those words, that means that's me. Okay. So that's me. And then I start, okay, that's me. Oh, and that's your brother, and he's Luis. And that's Luis, and you're Santiago. Like, oh, okay. So that's me, that's not me. Right? That's me, that's not me. Okay. A little baby bites the blanket and it doesn't hurt. But then it bites his toe and it hurts. Or its finger, and it hurts. And like, oh, wait. Oh, I'm here. I'm this body, And then we start to identify as a separate self, right? First, just with our body, but then with our name, and then with our gender, and then with our family, and then our nationality, and then our religion, and then we start to create this sense of separation. So nothing is separate to begin with, right? So nothing is separate to begin with, but we have to be able to create those boundaries to enter the human world. If we're not able to create those boundaries, we can enter the human world, or we have a lot of difficulties. Right? So that this is psychologists understand this. Say, well, if someone is not able to really create that sense of self, it's just very difficult to navigate the human world. The problem is that we start then to believe that created identity is our real identity. That's who I am. I am this thing that is separate from the rest of the universe. And then I start to feel like a separate self. And then I carry that sense of feeling a separate self Maybe until I pass away. Yeah. Maybe at some point I'm lucky enough to find some kind of expression of the Dharma and then start to question that. It's like, oh, wait a minute, there's something going on here, and then we start to practice, right? But it's a little tricky because it's like we shouldn't need to even practice from the beginning because it's already here, right? In Zen, there's a koan and it's the student asks the teacher, what is the way? And the teacher says, ordinary mind is the way. He said, well, so if ordinary mind is the way, then how do I find it? How do I look for it? And then he says, well, the more you look for it, the farther away you move from it. So the more we look, the more we seek for something, then the farther away we go. But since that's the only thing we know, we don't know how to do it. If we just tell someone, well, just don't do anything, you're already enlightened. What do you mean? I don't feel enlightened. I feel like a tiny little separate self. And then I look at the world and it's either alluring or scary. So I either try to grasp or I try to avoid. And that's the place where we are. This is the place of samsara. So we start as a baby. Then a baby doesn't even know that it's a baby, right? Then we become an individuated human, an individuated self, and then we become a realized Buddha. So we have to go through all the things, right? We cannot skip it. The seed of we're already Buddhas from the beginning, but we just don't see it. We have to first create this identity, separate identity, and then realize that identity is being constructed. When we're babies, the baby feels, it doesn't see how the world is being created at every moment. It starts to feel like the world is out there. Like I am encountering an outer world instead of seeing that this is all arising within my mind. This is all arising within. Okay? So that's a mouthful. But I hope it makes some sense. And once we do the practice, which we will do in a few minutes, it will make sense in our experience. That's it. That's what we're aiming for it to be an experience, not just an idea. So anyone else wants to share anything about this? Yes, Chris, and then Sakura.
Hi. Yeah, I mean, this is all very resonant, and I just wanted to share that the first thing that comes to mind when I think of obstacles to realizing true nature is mind, my thinking mind. My thinking mind is so strong. I sit to practice, I focus on my breath or sensations in my body, and my mind is, and I try not to interfere, like let the mind alone, it's doing its thing, but my attention is continually drawn. It's so attractive. I don't even notice it at first, and then I realize, wow, I went from that thought to that thought to that thought, and I'm all the way down here. Come back to sensation over and over and over again. And so, I mean, this is not, a great revelation. I'm sure everybody realizes this as well, but I become very frustrated. My ordinary mind appears to be obsessed with thought. So I would like to, there's something behind this. There's the awareness, and I try to return to the awareness, but the thinking mind I experience it as an obstacle to awakening. So
beautiful. Thank you, Chris. And I love the last part you said. I experience it as an obstacle to awakening, right? Which is different to saying it is an obstacle to an awakening, right? I experience it as an obstacle to awakening. So that's already pointing out to something. So that's you're giving us a great start, Chris. Zachary, yes, Zachary, and then we'll take a little break just to be a little more refreshed, and then we'll go through the process. Yes, Zachary.
I think this is actually kind of just to summarize what I'm hearing you already say, and I really resonate with it and I agree with it. And also kind of a reminder, like we're already all awake right now, like just point blank. All of you are completely awake. I hope you know that. And to me, like, yeah, the obstacle, the veil, quote unquote, is thinking that we are who we think we are. So thinking we are our identity. And so we start method acting the identity. Oh, I'm Zach and I have these feelings and I have this history and I'm going to move into the future and blah, 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 blah. This big old story narrative. And the thought says, oh, that thought is who I am. Right. That method acting, that person that's pretending to be Zach is what I am, when what I am is this wide open awareness, right? And that wide open awareness has complete room for the little I, the little Zach. So I don't have to get rid of the little Zach either. I don't have to get rid of the thoughts. I don't have to get rid of the feelings. I don't have to get rid of anything because it's all included in what I am, which is the same thing as what I was when I was born, right? And so, but when I was born, after I was born, it became like I developed an idea of who I was, but I was already what I was before I developed the idea of who I was. Yeah, that's it. That's all I want to say.
Beautiful summary, Zachary. Beautiful summary. Okay, so let's take 5 minutes. Okay, 6 minutes. Move a little bit. Have some tea. Take a bio break, and we'll see you at 35 after. Yes. Okay. Welcome. I invite everyone to turn on your cameras. So that we can all connect. Okay. Beautiful. Wonderful. So I'll say a little bit about the methodology we're going to use. When we think about studying the self, we can use, let's say, more modern analogy of the self. We think of the self as a company. So this is Santiago Incorporated. It's like a company. And then we say, okay, well, so if the self is a company, then, what is the company? What is the company? Right? So, okay, so then is the company the place where the company is located? Is that the company? And then, well, let's look at Microsoft. It started in a garage, and now it's buildings all over the world. So, so we say, well, that changes, right? So it's the same here. This place where the company is, supposedly, it used to be just one cell, just one cell. And then, just grew a little bit, and then it came out of the womb, didn't have any hair, and then started to grow hair, but maybe later starting to lose the hair again. So it changes, it it changes weight, it changes, it can even get like organs from different other companies, you know, it can even get a heart from somebody else or a kidney, you know, it's changing all the time. You know, even the, you know, like are the nails like the company? Well, you know, they go away. You know, they get trimmed out every week or so. So, well, so then we can say that the essence of the company is the place where the company is. It's not the body. Okay. Well, is the company the name? Or can that change? Well, I mean, it changes all the time because sometimes it's, you know, Santiago, sometimes it's Santi, you know, sometimes it's honey, you know, sometimes it's, hey, you. And yeah, that's, for that second, that was the name. That was what I responded to. You know, and I can just legally go and change my name to, you know, anything I want. So, well, so the company is not the body, it's not the name. Is it the product? Or does that change too? Well, at some point, maybe the product was to be, you know, a famous soccer player or an astronaut, you know, or a rock star. You know, and then maybe that changed to just being a boyfriend or a father, or, you know, it's changing all the time, right? So the body changed, the name changed, the product changed, and we can just go on, right? Beliefs change, you know. Here we don't have Santa Claus, we have baby Jesus. So baby Jesus brings the gifts, right? So, you know, I used to, you know, really believe that baby Jesus was the one that's bringing the gifts, you know. So beliefs change all the time. So, okay, so if the company is not the body, it's not the name, it's not what it thinks, it's not what it feels, it's not its possession, it's not its relationships, it's not its hopes, it's not its fears, then what is the company? You know, what is the company? It's none of that. And yet, if I say Santiago, we kind of like, okay, we kind of know what we're talking about. If I say Google, well, okay, well, what is Google? I don't really know, but I kind of know. So, but if we look into it, you know, what is it? You know, what is the company? What would you answer to that? If it's not the name, if not it's not the body, it's not his hopes, fears, emotions, desires, possessions, relationships, beliefs. You know, what is it? What is the company? Anyone knows? Help me. I don't know.
Can it just be the ever-changing collection of all these factors?
That sounds beautiful, but I don't know what that is.
We're looking for something permanent, but there's nothing permanent. It's like Lama Liz says, we're verbs, not nouns.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. Okay, so then, so then the company is like an idea? That's all it is, right? It's an idea. That's all it is. It's an idea. And that idea changes, right? That idea could be, oh, you know, it's this company is the worst thing ever. It's just the worst. It's awful, you know, it's just terrible. Or, oh, this company is amazing. It's just so incredible. There's no one like this company. Ideas, right? Or, oh, this company is the emptiness and blissful nature of the Buddhas coming together in this wonderful universe. Ideas. So ideas. So what we can do using this analogy is we can look at, let's say, the the members of the company. We can say the employees of the company. And we can use it as a skillful means. For instance, one employee of the company could be fear. Another member of the company could be joy. Another one could be curiosity. Another one could be sadness. So these are all like employees. We call them voices of the company. The company has all these different voices. So what we do, I call this a collective interactive meditation. Because in meditation, we kind of let our usual sense of self rest for a little bit. We let it aside and we see what comes up. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to ask to speak to some of these voices of the company. So I'll give you an example. Some of you already know this. If I say, please let me speak to the voice of fear. Okay, so then I would say, as a participant, okay, I am fear. I would ask who I'm speaking to. And you would say, I am the voice of fear. And the moment I say that I am the voice of fear, I am no longer the self. I'm no longer Santiago. I let Santiago rest for a little bit, and I am just the voice of fear. And we'll say, well, okay, so, as fear, what's it like to be you? Well, as fear, everything seems like a threat. And I feel like my job is to pay a lot of attention to anything that can threaten the self. It could be a physical threat. It could be a threat to his reputation. It could be a threat to his position. It could be a threat to his money. I'm looking out for that. That's what I do as fear. Okay. And then maybe I would say, okay, well, let me speak to the voice of curiosity. Okay, then I would say who I'm speaking to, well, I am curiosity. So I'm no longer the self, I'm no longer fear, I'm just curiosity. Well, so what's it like to be you? Oh, I feel like everything is kind of like new and like novel, and I just want to like figure it out. I look at the world, I'm like, what is this? And I wanna go into it and find out. So that's curiosity, right? So as we start doing the process, you'll see that's very, it's very straightforward, right? The key is that when we're the voice, we're not the self. So if I say, for instance, if we're talking to fear and I ask you a question and you're fear, you would say this, you would say, as fear, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Or as curiosity, blah, 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 right? And then we refer to the self in third person, right? So it's not Santiago that's speaking. Santiago, it's over here, right? And I speak about Santiago. I'm not Santiago. I'm just fear or sadness or joy or whichever voice I'm in. Okay? So, are we ready to play? Okay, so let's start by just centering ourselves a little bit. Just take your posture and just take a few breaths to just kind of settle into what's here. Just settle into what's here. Notice what that's like to just settle. And from this place, connect with your intention. Connect with your intention. What's your intention for this time together? And in Buddhism, we have this general intention to realize our true nature. and have this realization be of benefit to all sentient beings. So connect to that intention from your heart. And ask that intention to guide you. It's going to be your guide. Okay, and when we're ready, we can just come back. And for a moment, imagine that we're all sitting in a circle together. We're all together in a circle. Okay. So the first voice that I want to speak to is it was just coming up. So I think it wants to speak. Okay. And it's the voice of the thinking mind. The voice of the thinking mind. Okay. So when I ask to speak to you, we're gonna place you a little bit to the right. So when I ask to speak to you, you can just move a little bit. And when you move, you're gonna be the thinking mind, and the self is gonna take some vacations, right? And the self's gonna take a vacation. So if you would please let me speak to the voice of the thinking mind. So let's just move a little bit to the right. Move it to the right. Okay. And now I'm speaking not to the self, but I'm speaking to the thinking mind. So who am I speaking to? You are? And then all of us say, I am the thinking mind. You can say that loud. I am the thinking mind. Just take a moment. Yeah, you can repeat it a few times. I am the thinking mind. So let's get clear on who you are. So you're not the self, and you're not the non-thinking mind. You are the thinking mind. Okay? So you can either, as you speak, unmute yourself, or you can raise the hand. It's all welcome. And just, I want to hear from you, thinking mind. First, what is your job in the company? Please let me know. What's your job as the thinking? Should be very obvious.
As a thinking mind, I solve problems.
Yeah, you think, right? That's your job. Your job is to think, right? And part of that is solving problems, right? Definitely. Oh, that big part of it. Solve problems. Absolutely. Yes.
I figure things out. I have it all under control because I figure it out.
Oh, okay. So your job is to have things under control by figuring things out. Beautiful. Yeah.
To plan, to strategize, to make distinctions.
Beautiful. To plan, to strategize, to make distinctions. Yes. Yes.
Oh, as the thinking mind, I'm in charge. I kind of drive the bus.
You kind of drive the bus. Yeah, you're kind of in charge. Yes. I definitely agree with that. Yes. Yes.
My thinking mind is really actively involved in
As the thinking mind. So let me speak to the thing. So you are no, go ahead. Go ahead. You are, let me hear who I'm speaking to. You are?
I'm Taintor.
Let me speak to the thinking mind of
Yeah.
Taintor.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so you are?
I am the thinking mind.
You're the thinking mind. Yes, sure. So let me hear from you. Yes, what were you saying as a thinking mind?
The thinking mind is I am the thinking mind.
And you can say I as the thinking man, as the thinking mind, I.
Oh, okay. As a thinking mind, I am looking out for my body. Does that make sense?
Oh,
Yeah.
how do you do that?
Well, I pay attention to uh, sensations, and
Okay.
then I think about what do I need to do,
Oh, okay, I see. So
like
as
hunger or pain or
oh,
tension.
oh, okay. So let me see if this makes sense. So it's like as the thinking mind, you're the one that interprets the sensation
Always,
of the
yes,
body,
always
right?
interpreting. Yes.
Yes. Beautiful.
Yeah. And
Yeah, you interpret, huh?
mhm. And creating too.
And
Think
creative. Like how, tell me about that. How are you creative as the thinking mind?
as the thinking mind, I um am involved in perceiving the world around me and then interpreting it when you use the word interpreting. And that's something that the thing that, as a thinking mind, um, I can get very involved, or the thinking mind gets very involved.
I get very involved as a thinking, right?
Yeah,
As a thinking mind, I can even get obsessed.
totally. Yeah,
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank
yeah.
you. Well, now let me, because this is you were speaking about a very kind of primordial or fundamental thing, function of you, the thinking mind, is to interpret this very uh primordial body expressions, right? So we know because of research that when the self is born, you as the thinking mind are not really there. When the self is born, the self doesn't have thoughts. The self doesn't have thoughts. That's why you can go peekaboo, and then those little cells are, and then you cover yourself, and then you go peekaboo, and then they can't see that you're behind the hands because they don't have a thought that's telling them that. So you, the thinking mind, start to come online a little later, a few months later, actually, right? So I would ask you to just for now, as the thinking mind, have a little sense of what was it like before you came online. What what was that like? You might not remember exactly, but see if you can have a little sense of what that was like. What was it like? You were not there, but there was something.
I, as the thinking mind, was observing and looking around.
Yeah, that was all you could do, right? You could only like observe and look around, right? It's like, you're not even there as the thinking mind. You're just this little like observation, looking around. Yeah.
As the thinking mind, it seemed like it was a very peaceful time.
It seemed like it might be a very peaceful time. Like, how much was the self worried about filing taxes back then? Or about strategizing or creating a 5-year, 10-year plan? How much of that was there?
Not much.
Not much. Beautiful. Okay, so then what do you what does it seem like started happening? How did you start to come online as the thinking mind? What happened? See if you can get a sense of what was going on. What was that like?
I don't know who I'm speaking as.
Let me speak to the thinking mind that's just coming online.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm starting to notice certain things in my environment that I need to pay attention to.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that seems to be, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Like
Because
what?
certain
Like
things are
what kind
like
of
things that I need to like bring towards me or kind of move away from me. So I'm particularizing certain things in the environment.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
you're
what,
starting to
yeah,
particularize, exactly. You're starting to take
yeah,
this broad everything and just like pick things up, right?
yeah,
This,
yeah, yeah,
this. Yes, that's what you do. Exactly.
yeah.
Starting to realize a separation. I'm starting to realize that duality.
What's that duality like at that point? What is that? How does that feel?
Feels to me personally like a kind of exile or into a separation that I don't actually believe, but that is necessary. If that is somehow clear, I'm trying to remember that feel of when I first perceived separation, and how different it was when I perceived it with human beings or when I perceived it with the environment. It felt really different. It was easier to hold that sense of complete oneness, or to be that in the environment, and more challenging with humans. There, yeah, that's about as clear as I can be about it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Because probably it's just the environment is a little bit more stable.
Mm-hmm.
And humans are like moving and changing and like, what is this thing? And then, I can figure out this little toy that I have here. But this form that comes and moves and talks to me and it makes me feel things, like it's like probably a little harder to understand.
Well, it's like expansion in the one hand and contraction on the other, because you're trying to perceive this other human who was part of this expanded sense, and you're coming into the realization that there's a difference there. And I'm not, and there's an attempt to fix it, not to sort of see it moving and changing, as you're saying. You're trying as a baby or a child, you're trying to fix that, because your survival, I think, depends on it, that other being fixed. If that, that's just my experience of it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. It's like because there's other, then there's me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because there's other, then there's me. Right? That's the duality. Beautiful. Yes.
As the unformed thinking mind, I'm noticing sensations in my body, and I notice that when I'm hungry, I cry, and then somebody comes and feeds me.
Beautiful. So as this this very just developing thinking mind, we start to learn things of how to navigate the world. It's like, oh, there's crime, someone comes and feed me. Okay, I have, now I have a little strategy. Now I have a little strategy. And then, so fast forward. Let's say, the self is now, grown up, So you as the thinking mind figure a little strategy to get what the self needed at that moment, it needed to be fed. And the strategy was cry, right? Now, what is the strategy now that you use as the thinking mind to get what the self needs? Look at that. It's thinking mind. Look how you're very simple and now you become way more complex. What's that like?
I might
As the,
strategize. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
as the thinking mind, I make a list based on what's in the refrigerator, and I go to the grocery store and I bring home things to cook so that I can have food.
Beautiful. So notice what would have happened if you as the thinking mind hadn't developed. Well, you would be just in the fridge crying, trying to get food right in front of the fridge. But because you developed as the thinking mind, you have now all these ways, all these capacities. Beautiful. Any other strategies that you use for, or tools that you use for satisfying the self needs? Anything that comes up?
I might try to find ways to make people pay attention to me.
Yes.
So they can meet my needs.
Yeah. So they can meet Dorothy's
They can
needs.
go to the grocery store.
That's even more advanced. I can figure out ways that others go to the grocery store. Beautiful. Yeah. So, yes, go ahead.
As the thinking mind, I sometimes get confused with all the different ideas and strategies I'm coming up with. It's hard to sort them out.
Yeah, say more about that. Yeah. Because it was very simple at the beginning, right? You just cry, that's it. But now it's probably not that simple.
No, it's as the thinking mind, I feel stressed sometimes because I want to come up with reasonable plans that aren't going to get anybody in trouble. In some ways, I need to slow down, and I'm not sure how.
Beautiful. You need to slow down, and you're not sure how. And it makes sense because it hasn't really been your job, right? It's not your job so much to slow down and not think that much. Your job is to think, right? And it's like, and if we've been somehow effective for the self is going to use us for almost everything. Does that make
Feels
sense?
like moving.
Makes like what?
It feels like I have to keep moving and come up with new ideas.
Yeah, come up with new
It's
ideas.
exhausting.
Can be very stressful.
I would say as the thinking mind, because I'm quite old, that I am seeing the use and the non-use of the thinking mind. It has certain qualities that are really helpful and other qualities that are not at all helpful. There has to be this turning where it becomes a support of the if you can break the mind down, which you really can't, but a more, it has to fall into a more supportive role, that a more letting go of control, a more understanding that in reality there is no stable self, and it's the thinking mind gets very freaked out by that.
Yeah,
But
so
it has to, it has to come to that point.
So let me speak to the thinking mind, right? So you as the thinking mind, how easy is for you to, as the thinking mind, to find a stable self?
There isn't what the thinking mind can't find a stable self.
I can find a stable self. So you can say
I
as the thinking mind, yeah.
I as the thinking mind might look for a stable self, but there is none. So I as the thinking mind have to come to terms with that on a very deep level. I have to come to that understanding because it's the truth.
Yes, beautiful.
I is the thinking mind.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But before we do that, because we're going to do that, yes, go ahead, go ahead.
I, as the thinking mind, feel most happy when I'm a tool in service of love.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. But I would bet that it took a little bit of time to get to this place. Am I right? Totally. Yeah. Yeah, and it makes sense because you, as the thinking mind, we start very basic. For us to get to this place that we are more like a tool of love, it takes time, right? It takes time to get there. Yeah, beautiful.
As the thinking mind, I can't really relax. I keep just my activity appears to be constant. It's like diarrhea. It just runs and runs and runs. And that's just what I do. I'm doing it all the time and I just can't stop.
I get it. Well, let me ask you, this is for you and for everyone. Let me ask this question. Where would the self be if you had never come online? Let's say you never, thinking mind, you thinking mind never come online. Where would the self be? What would have happened to the self? Where would Chris be without you, the thinking mind?
If the thinking mind's not online, I can't answer that question.
Well, imagine you as the thinking mind. Just imagine what would have happened to Chris if you, the thinking mind, just would have never appeared.
As the thinking mind, I have a very important role to play.
Yes.
I allow Chris to function in the world.
Yes. Let me ask you, would have Chris found the Dharma if it wasn't for you? No.
Nope.
No. You're the one to lead the selves to the Dharma. It was you.
Wait, I'm not bad?
Okay, this is great. Now, let me ask you, all thinking minds here. Tell me about your relationship with the self. What's that like? Tell me.
Myself keeps telling me, get out of the way. You're the problem here. If you could just take a back seat, would have realized. Come on, thinking mind, get it together. Get out of the way.
Okay, how's that working?
Not working at all.
For a long time,
The
I
more,
thought I was the self.
Yeah, more like this, right? Yeah, more like this. Okay.
Um, sometimes the self feels like a project.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Tell me more about that. Yeah.
Um, well, it's like the thinking mind is
Me as the thinking mind.
me
You
as
as
I as the thinking mind see how I think a lot about this concept of self in
yeah.
different ways.
Yes.
Self-awareness, self-will, self-criticism, self-annihilation, self-destruction, self.
Absolutely true. The self is our greatest project. It's our greatest project. It's like, wow, how do we transform it? How do we make it into this? Oh, it's not so good. Let me see if I chip this little part here, and if I feed it with this, and we're we're making that self. It's our biggest project. Beautiful. Yeah. Yes.
As the thinking mind, it's difficult to get along with the self sometimes. They're just never satisfied.
Never satisfied. Never
I think
satisfied.
if I try to take a rest, it doesn't like it.
Well, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that for whatever reason, in Dharma circles, we tend to be the bad guy. Have you noticed that? You noticed that? We tend to be the bad guy. We're like, oh, if it wasn't, just thinking too much and just let go thinking mind is like, how do I do that? All I know is think. That's all I do. You're basically asking me to die. I mean, as the thinking mind, do you want to die? Do any being wants to die? You want to die, right? Are you gonna die? What if the self tries hard to kill you? It's like, I'm just gonna kill you. You're not gonna work? Okay, okay. Well, I'm going to do something very probably extreme. What if we do the opposite? What if the self can actually realize how amazing we are as the thinking mind? Like, wow. And not just that, it's like, look around. Probably almost everything that's around the self is there because of you. It's there because of you. Starting with the computer that's in front of you. Starting with that. It's because of this amazing thing that we are as the thinking mind that everything is here. So let me ask you this. What would it be like for you, the thinking mind? What would it feel like to be fully acknowledged? You as the thinking mind, fully acknowledged, fully appreciated, just for being you as the thinking mind. What would that feel like? Let me know.
A dream come true.
Dream come true.
It might feed my ego.
Is what?
It depends on my attitude. It could just feed my ego.
Oh, as the thinking mind. So you are the thinking mind.
Yeah, if I'm lauded for being the thinking mind,
Mhm.
maybe that will change my concept of myself.
If you were
I'll be
lauded, like,
full of myself.
oh, okay. So, okay. So let me speak a little bit, let me speak to fear for a moment. So you are.
I am fear.
So what is the fear to fully acknowledge and appreciate and value the thinking mind?
Well, when you put it that way, that sounds pretty good. I don't see any reason to not fully
Okay.
value and appreciate.
Good, good, beautiful, good. I just wanted you to see that more clearly. That's wonderful. Okay, that's great. You got it. Yeah, yeah. What would be the benefit of just appreciating and valuing the thinking mind? What would you say?
Good things could happen.
Good things could happen. Okay, beautiful, beautiful.
I think as the thinking mind, if I was really acknowledged and appreciated, I could relax. Sometimes I'm just louder and louder and louder because I don't feel like you're listening and you're not paying attention. And if I was recognized, I could relax.
Yes, yes.
And I can stop fighting with myself. I can
It's a-
stop trying to use myself to kill myself.
Exactly, exactly. Well, let's find out. So let's do this. Let me speak to the thinking mind, fully acknowledge and appreciate it. The thinking mind fully acknowledge and appreciate it. Okay? So, who am I speaking to? You are? Can say, I am the thinking mind, fully acknowledge and appreciate it. Just notice that. I am the thinking mind, fully acknowledge and appreciate it. And just notice what's it like to be you, the thinking mind, fully acknowledge and appreciate it. Yeah.
I would be able to come up with more helpful suggestions and ideas. Just feeling so much better.
Feeling so much better.
I think I would be more creative.
Yeah. What's it like now to be this thinking mind, fully acknowledge and appreciate it here, right here?
I think I would feel I am the thinking mind, completely appreciated, and I have so many gifts to offer.
So many gifts. Yeah.
And I would think, as the thinking mind, fully appreciated and acknowledged that I belong.
You belong. Yes. Yes, you belong. You belong. Welcome. You definitely belong.
Mm.
Wow, it's not just that you belong, you're so crucial.
Right.
You're so important. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm still the thinking mind, but I think I've turned into intuition.
Turning to intuition. I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. It's like intuition. Yeah, I'm not sure. I get kind of, yeah. But that makes sense. Yeah. When you're fully acknowledged and appreciated, how loud do you think you need to be? How much do you need to call for attention when you're fully present?
Not necessary.
It's not necessary.
I can take a nap.
You can take a nap. You can take a nap. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful.
As the thinking mind fully acknowledged and appreciated, I'm having a hard time believing that I'm fully acknowledged and appreciated.
Okay. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Let me speak a little bit to fear. Okay, so you're the voice of
I am fear.
fear. So just take a look. What's the fear of fully acknowledging the thinking mind?
I'm afraid that I really am the problem.
You're afraid that the thinking mind is the problem?
I'm afraid that the thinking mind is the problem.
Okay, I see. That makes sense. Why? Why are you afraid of that? Why?
It seems to interfere with direct experience
Hmm.
of the present moment. It's always commenting. It's just talking all the time. I try to let it relax. And I'm afraid if I acknowledge it, it's just going to be more powerful, more.
More diarrhea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Look, I get it. I understand. Now, let me ask you this. Is there any fear? What about if we go the opposite way? What if the thinking mind is never acknowledged? It's always seen as the problem. It's never seen and valued and appreciated. Is there any fear of that, of what that could lead to?
Yeah. Afraid that I'm still stuck
Mhm.
with the
So,
situation as it is,
yeah,
thinking getting in the way.
yeah. What if the idea that the thinking mind gets in the way is just another idea? Is that a possibility?
Sure, it seems to be that way, but I recognize that. I mean, the teachings say it's not. So, but then I'm afraid there's something wrong with me, that I can't do it right.
Yeah,
I can't let go of it. Everybody else can,
yeah,
but it's not going to work for me.
beautiful, beautiful. So just see if you can just connect to that and give compassion to that, and just see if you can just open up to that, because that's important. And I understand. If you look at the thinking mind, that might seem as a problem. If you look at it from your perspective as fear, what does the thinking mind need? Just that thinking mind, what does it need?
I have no idea.
Okay. So let me speak to the thinking mind. So you are,
I am the thinking mind.
for you, what do you need from the self? If you look at yourself, what would you like to get from the self?
I don't know that I'm trying to get anything. As the thinking mind, I'm trying to help.
You just,
I want to help.
yeah, beautiful. Yeah. So what would it be like for you, the thinking mind, to be allowed to be you? Just to be you, just to be allowed to exist as this thinking mind that is just trying to help.
That would be a big relief.
Yeah, just trying to help. You're not the bad guy. You're not the problem. You're just doing what you can, just trying to help. I get it. I mean, I get the sense that you care about Chris. So let me speak to fear again, one last time. So as fear, you saw I think you saw with more clarity what the thinking mind is and needs. Now, you are the one that decides. And I trust you. Would you want the thinking mind to be fully appreciated and valued and acknowledged?
As fear?
Yeah.
As fear, I don't feel a lot of power to make decisions. As fear, I feel reactive.
Okay. 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 I get it. I get it. Okay. So let's see this, because we're getting close to that. So let me speak to the thinking mind. Okay. Getting
Okay.
that acknowledgement, just acknowledge, just the acknowledgement is just here, is just trying to help. Let me speak to that thinking mind that's fully acknowledged.
As the thinking mind, I don't feel fully acknowledged and accepted. So I have a hard time speaking from that place.
From, let's say, from 1 to 10. You say you don't feel fully accepted and acknowledged. I get it. That makes sense. From 1 to 10, let's say, how much do you feel accepted, fully acknowledged and accepted? How much?
Maybe a 7.
7. Okay. So let me speak just to that 70% that's fully acknowledged and accepted. Okay. Let me speak to that one. So you're the 70% that's fully acknowledged and accepted. And just notice what it's like. What is that like?
I recognize that I have that I do good stuff, that I have important roles to play, that I'm helpful. I do good work.
Yeah. How does that feel?
That feels good, but there's a but.
It's okay. We can let the other part that has the but. It's okay. We can let it. But you're not that part. You're that part that just feels fully accepted. Right. What would you say to Chris as this mind, this 70% that's fully accepted and acknowledged? What would you say to him?
Please love me just the way I am.
If he were to do that, what do you think would happen if you were loved just the way you are?
I could relax.
Yes, relax. And what do you think could happen if you could relax?
Other aspects of the self could have their proper places.
So that's the key. Just for you to be loved as you are. That's it. And I think Chris is getting it. I think he's getting it. Beautiful. Beautiful. So for all of us, we're the fully acknowledged, appreciated thinking mind. I wonder what is the opposite of you? The opposite of the thinking mind. I wonder what that is like. And I'd like to get to know that. So let me speak for a moment to, we're not going to give your opposite a name. Okay, we just know that it's not you. Okay, for now, it's not you and it's not the self, right? It's not the self and it's not you. It's just the opposite of you, the thinking. Okay, so let me speak to that part. But that part that hasn't fully awakened, like still, like it's not fully out. It's like a little bit like in the basement, like it's not fully out. Right? So let me speak to that one. Let me speak to the. So this is what we're going to name you. Let me speak to the opposite of the thinking mind that's not fully awakened yet. Okay, the opposite of the thinking mind, not fully awakened. Okay, so let me speak to that. So who am I speaking to? You are? I am the opposite of the thinking mind, not fully awakened. And just notice, comes up.
I am the opposite of the thinking mind, not fully awakened. And I can't wait to get out.
I bet you can do it.
It happened, but I'm ready.
Say that again.
I'm not sure what's going to happen when I come out, but somehow I feel eager and ready.
I think you are. Yes, I think you are. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. What else? What else? What's this like? The
I'm the
opposite.
opposite of the thinking mind, not fully awake yet. I'm not feeling my way, noticing my senses are waking up. They're feeding information in, and I'm not thinking about and labeling and judging what's coming in. I'm just present and moving and experiencing and sensing and being.
Beautiful. You're feeling your way into the surface. You're feeling your way. Beautiful. Yeah.
Kind of foggy, and I have a name. Um, my name is Dupe to Do, and I feel judged often.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful. Yes. 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 Do to do it. And we feel judged. Yeah. Yeah. Let me ask you that. Why is it that you're still kind of not fully awakened? Well, let me ask it in this way. Let me ask it this way. If you're not fully awakened, there must be some kind of benefit to keep you there. Look for that. What is the benefit? What is this? What is the self getting by not fully letting you out? What do you think that is? What does it feel like it is? What is it?
I don't know how to say.
You know how to
It's like
say it.
it's like I want to sleep. Like I'm getting rest. I'm getting like relaxation, something like that. Not
Something.
I'm getting lack of pressure.
So
I don't know,
by
something.
so what is Zach getting by not fully letting you out? What do you think he's getting?
Oh, safety.
Safety, definitely. Yes. Yes, definitely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Safety. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
And admiration.
Admiration.
Zach got a lot of admiration for not being me.
or the thinking mind, you could say.
Yeah, when Zach identified with the thinking mind,
Yes,
he
yes,
got a lot of admiration. Yeah,
I get it. Yes.
yeah.
Yes, because letting you out might feel like the thinking mind, it's gone, and virtually everything that the self has created is because of the thinking mind.
Can I switch to a different voice?
Which voice?
To the thinking mind?
Okay, for a moment, thinking mind.
I'm not sure which voice is like there's two opposites of me.
Okay.
And then I'm being the opposite that's like half awake, like when I'm waking up in the morning and I'm not quite there. Is
Yeah.
that the opposite I'm supposed to be being?
Yeah, you're that opposite. That's not fully out. Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever it feels like that opposite is.
Okay.
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 It feels like, but yes, good. Good. It's a good question. Yeah. So just take a moment, because is there anything that the self is getting by keeping you not fully awakened? I think that here, most of us can see or can sense the opposite, what the self would get by allowing you to come up. What would it be like? Yes.
If the opposite of my thinking mind was allowed to come out fully,
If,
it would
if
be
I,
wild. If
if
I came out fully from underneath my thinking mind, I would be wild, crazy, powerful, and God knows what I would wreak on society. So I have to keep it in check.
So you have to be kept in check. I get it. You're too much, right? It's like, wow, so much power, so much freedom, everything. It's like, wow, So yeah, that's probably too scary for the self. Probably the self thinks that you're too much, right? Thinks, okay, I get it. I get it. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yes.
The self, if I were to come out as the non-thinking mind, I think the self is afraid it might disappear, that I would take over.
Yes, the self is afraid it would disappear. Definitely, it's afraid it would disappear. It's afraid that you will be too powerful, too wild, out of control, right? So the self has those thoughts. Okay, I get it, fully get it. Yes.
As the opposite of the thinking mind, I'm starting to feel like I'm not going to get to come out because the self is too afraid. I'm not going to get a fair chance.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get it. I get it. Yeah. So we get okay. So we have a clear picture of what the self is getting. It's getting safety, familiarity, stay within boundaries, a sense of knowing what's going on. Not too much power, not too much freedom. Just enough what he or she is familiar with, right? And maybe the self wants to keep that. Right? Okay. Well, now let me ask the opposite. From your perspective, as the opposite of the thinking mind, what is the self? What is the cost of having you not fully awakened? What is the self missing?
Missing a lot of opportunities that he doesn't even know about.
He doesn't even know what he's missing. I mean, it's so much he doesn't even know.
He's being overprotected. I think he's being overprotected.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, just being overprotected. That's normal. Yeah. But yeah,
I feel left out.
Yeah, and what is the self missing, with having us left out? Let's look into that. From you look at the self without you. What is the self missing?
Wholeness.
Wholeness. The self feels, not whole, incomplete. Yeah, definitely wholeness. Yeah.
And authenticity, standing, coming into your own beingness. I mean, I assume when you're talking about the self, you're talking about our constructed identity, right?
Exactly.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
So
self.
you, by not acknowledging, you'll never come into your authenticity. And there
Never.
is fear around it because of what an earlier person who is Nancy, I think, was it Nancy who talked about, this incredible power that could be destructive, or it could be, or who knows what it could demand of you. You might wind up in a cave somewhere, eating berries and meditating all day long. Or you might, who knows, if you let it freely come forth. Or you might be like taking your paintings down to the Whitney Museum and saying, here, or you might be, who knows what you might do if you're totally free and authentically who you are. You would be fearless. So, who do you know who is? Where are your examples of those who have done this and are that and can pave the way for you? Are they just in books, or are they,
Wow.
that?
Beautiful. Yeah. You might go to, a cave eating berries, or, you might just get up and go to work. Like in Zen, this is famous saying, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. But it's the same, but it's not the same. Beautiful. Well, I mean, I don't know if we're gonna have time to on this voice, or if we're ready, maybe, maybe it's too much. Maybe, maybe there'll be another opportunity, maybe in another lifetime. Who knows? I think we're ready. So, okay. So let me speak to the opposite of the thinking mind, fully acknowledged, fully realized. Okay, and let's see what comes up. So let me speak to that. So let's speak to the opposite of the thinking mind, fully realized. So who am I speaking to? You are? I am the opposite of the thinking mind, fully realized. And just notice.
I am the opposite of a thinking mind, fully realized.
And just take a moment to just be you, just be. Notice what's it like to be, just for a moment. You're the opposite of thinking mind, fully realized.
I'm feeling very free and happy that I can help in the ways that I know I can, and bring some joy and fun into this.
Bring some joy and fun into this.
I'm the opposite of the thinking mind, fully realized, and everything's okay, just the way it is.
Everything's okay, just the way it is.
I'm the opposite of the thinking mind fully realized, and it's exactly like it was when I was 7. Only I've lived a full life, but the vision is exactly the same. Empty awareness, perceiving, sensing, feeling, being fully awake. And this life is such an incredible gift.
Wow, you can see that. You can see how this life is such an incredible gift.
I am opposite of the thinking mind, and I just feel so open and joyous. I can hold it all.
So wait, you're not like wild and crazy and just like you don't want to like, just do a lot of harm? Is that what you don't want to do any of that?
No, I feel very stable and grounded and just very, very open and spacious. I am just so open, so big.
Yeah. Yes, you're so open, so big. We say that you're like this precious jewel, like a diamond. And the beauty of a diamond is you can turn it a little bit and it will show you kind of a different side. It's the same diamond, but it kind of like shows you a little bit and something a little different. So let me ask to speak to a voice that is you, but it's going to show like a different aspect of you. It's going to emphasize something. Let me speak to the voice of no boundaries. Voice of no boundaries. So, who am I speaking to? You are? I am no boundaries. I am no boundaries. Take a moment to notice what's it like to be in no boundaries. No boundaries. And look and see if you can find a boundary.
I feel calm and content.
Say that again.
As no boundaries, I feel calm and content.
Calm.
I don't need to push anything.
You don't need to push anything. What's there to push?
Oh, I got in touch with no boundaries. No boundaries feels a little fearful to me.
Okay, I get it. So let me speak to fear. It's okay.
Okay.
So is fear, what's the fear of no boundaries?
Boundaries provide rules and safety.
Yeah, I get it. And I agree with you. Let me ask you this. Would you be okay if we let the voice of no boundaries come out for just 1 minute? Just 1 minute, no boundaries, and then we'll push it back again. Yes? Okay. So let me speak to the voice of no boundaries just for a minute. So you are
I'm the voice of no boundaries.
just notice what this is like.
I'm part of the the opposite of the thinking mind.
Yeah. Yes.
And as that, I'm just spacious and I don't exist because there's not a need for me.
Yeah. You don't exist, yet you're here.
So how
Can
is
you
that?
be?
How can that be?
Well, do you think the thinking mind can figure you out?
I think maybe that the thing that as boundaries, I am more part of the thinking mind than the
Boundaries.
non-thinking mind.
Absolutely. Who creates the boundaries?
The thinking mind.
Yes. Yes. But you're the opposite of the thinking.
Right.
And you're this aspect of that not non-thinking mind that's no boundaries. And see what happens when you just relax into yourself as no boundaries. Just relax into no boundaries.
When I can relax into that, there's a safety. I'm just safe. And I don't know.
You are the ultimate safety.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
safety of rules and boundaries is a relative safety.
Yeah.
But you are the ultimate safety.
Yeah.
Can
Well,
you be destroyed as no boundaries?
if what?
Can you be destroyed as no boundaries?
No.
You can be destroyed. Just notice that. Can be harmed. You can be harmed. The self can be harmed. That's okay. But you can be harmed.
Yeah. Thank you.
Beautiful. See, just rest into that. As no boundaries, let me ask you, how old are you?
I
There's
don't
no
have an age.
boundaries. Go ahead. Go ahead, Zach. I'm sorry.
No, sorry, not necessary. I don't have an age. Only things that come and go have an age.
And you're ageless.
Yeah, I'm ageless.
Ageless. Timeless.
I also am not just opposite of the thinking mind, I'm opposite of everything.
Yeah.
And I'm also not opposite of anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm paradoxical.
Some masters would say that you're nothing and everything at the same time.
Um,
Nothing and everything at the same time.
As the thinking mind that has no boundaries, or the not thinking mind that has no boundaries, there's no problem.
There's no problem. There is no problem. There is no problem. There's nothing to be solved. What is your color as the no boundaries? What color do you have?
Every color and no color.
Every color and no color. What's your form? What's your shape?
Changeable.
No shape and all shapes. Have you ever not been here? Has there any when the self is happy, excited, are you there? where the self is confused, frustrated, has no idea what's going on. Are you there?
Yes.
Yes. The self might not see you, but you're always there.
I want to bring up something I feel is important. When I'm thinking, I'm also here.
When the selves are okay, that's a great thing. Okay, so you know boundaries. So are thoughts also part of you? Is there anything you don't include? Can anything exist outside of you? Nothing. Everything arises within you. So now I want to do this. I want to talk to our last voice. Another word for you as the voice of the opposite of the thinking mind and no boundaries would be being. Okay, pure being. Okay, let's say we can call you that. Pure being, just being. The voice of your opposite, thinking mind, boundaries, fear, we could call that human. Okay, human thinks, it has fear, it lives in boundaries. Okay, so we have being and we have human. Okay, so now if we imagine a triangle, right? Triangle. Let's say one side is the human side and one side is the being side. Let me speak to the apex that's right here. That includes the human and the being and transcends them. Okay? Human and the being and goes beyond that. Okay? And we're going to call that voice the human being. The human being. So let me speak to the human being, fully awakened. Not just the human, not just ordinary human being. It's a human being that's fully awakened to the human nature, that it's born, is limited, it's born and it dies, and the being nature that's unlimited. It's not born, it doesn't die. Let me speak to those. So let me speak to the one that's here, the human being. Okay, the fully realized human being. So who am I speaking to? You are? I am a human being. Just notice what's it like to be that. To be a human being.
I'm I'm be I'm being human, a human being. That's it.
Yes, you are. You are a human being. You are a human being.
I am a fully fully awakened human being.
Yes.
Um, uh, and I am everything.
You're everything. You're everything.
I'm like fully alive, like deeply, deeply alive, and like full of like love and gratitude and energy and excitement and And there's a little bit of fear too, a little bit of fear, but like the fear is like half excitement and half fear. Like the fear is like to be overwhelmed, but I also want to be overwhelmed. Yeah.
Yes, beautiful. Fully awakened human being. There's this saying, you know, fully free, fully feeling. You know, fully free and fully feeling. Everything that comes with our human life.
Just want to say also like just gratitude and love. That's like the core of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Hmm. Let me ask you, what do you call a fully awakened human being? What is a fully awakened human being? A fully realized human being? It shouldn't be that hard.
And the shining one. I don't know. That's who I
Yes.
am.
That's one of your names. Yes. You're there's, you know, you have no name, you have also many names. I'm looking for one in particular that's connected to this community. What's a fully awakened human being?
Buddha.
Yes.
Buddha.
Well, the Buddha.
You're Buddha. That's who you are. You're a Buddha.
Yeah.
You are a Buddha. You are the clear light. And you're a human being, fully awakened human being. So, you know, what do you do? You know, what is customary to do in the presence of a Buddha? Well, put your hands together, and I want to bow to these 12 Buddhas that are here. Thank you so much for bringing your wisdom into this space. Thank you.